Handout today, not going to be able to stay for very long. So on the website or something like that.
We're gonna put it all.
Well, I'll be sitting over here. If you see me go out, it's because I got another meeting.
Make sure to sign in.
I did.
Make your email and
You got it.
Are you presenting?
Yeah.
Recording. I was gonna let everybody get in, but I think people just keep coming. So. All right, I'd like to kick this off, and it's basically a council meeting because we have the majority of the council here. So it's being recorded. It's being You're taking notes. Welcome everybody. It's this today, 18th, 19th. Okay, so this is a special meeting of the City Council, open house to talk about fiber. And this October 19th, 2021, I have 5:32. Again, welcome. I was glad to see so many of you here. I imagine this is a big topic. This past 2 years have really kind of made people more aware of high-speed internet. So if nothing else came out of the pandemic, and a new awareness, I think, came out of it. It's going to be kind of informal. I'm going to turn the time over. The council set up a committee, and the way it was designed was we have a lot of different committees in the council belongs, and we put 2 council members on them. This committee is Ann Arrington and Dave Marriott. They were tasked with forming a committee of citizens to study this. Started about a year ago, and to study and ultimately come up with a recommendation to the city council, the full city council. All the city council has been briefed on their recommendation, what they're looking at. This was the next step. We haven't gone any farther than that. The full council has not met on it. In the near future, after we take input and figure out kind of a pulse of the community, we will have a workshop with the full council and discuss where do we go from here, type of a deal. So no decisions been made. It's just, and I think I'll just turn it over to them, and they can kind of explain the process they went through, and then we'll kind of break up and we'll just. I think you're going to do it more in a one-on-one kind of just group, move around and ask questions, but I'll leave that up to them. That's their thing. So, but again, welcome everybody, and I'll just turn it over to Ann and Dave to kick it off.
Yes, we do have it.
Can you hear me? Is it even on? Let's go through a mask. Okay, cut the sound. Yeah, that's fine. So we're really glad you're here tonight. This is something we've been looking forward to for quite some time. Wanted to share with you the findings and the things that we've learned as a committee here. I'm Dave Marriott, and this is Ann Arrington. We're both city council members and on the committee. We're going to go through a format tonight. We're going to share with you a presentation, probably 15, 20 minutes, and give you kind of an overview of what we've done as a committee. And then after that, we know a lot of you will have input and questions. We're not going to have an open mic forum here. We're going to let you go. We'll introduce all the people on the committee and some other people that are here tonight to share the information for it, help you with understanding information and questions you might have. If you have questions, there's a question paperwork over here. You can fill out a question. When we're done with this, we'd like to have frequently asked questions sent out to you by email on social media so that you can see what happened tonight and what some of the other questions that we have. We'll talk about this right now.
When we're finished tonight, after you ask questions and things like that, we'd like you to come over to this map, and we'd like you to put a blue dot if you're very interested in fiber, and put it on your house, kind of the location of your house. If you're like, maybe I'd consider it, I'm not 100% sure, but I think so, then give us a yellow dot. And if you're like, no, I'm not interested, then we'd like a red dot on your house. That way we can kind of decide if there's clusters that are more interested or not, or just the pulse of what the community feels. So if you wouldn't mind doing that, that would help us a lot too.
Okay, so we'll get started. Start off with the main question that we all had back almost a year ago. We started off with, does the city need fiber optic network? If you're like me, and I think several of the residents I've talked to are dissatisfied with what we currently have. We just don't have a lot of access to internet or any internet providers in the city. And the question I had from the very beginning is, hey, shouldn't private industry be able to do this? Shouldn't they be able to come in and provide fiber or internet to the citizens of Pleasant View? And the answer to that is yes, some of them are already doing that. They're already here. But what I've learned is that they're not going to go to everywhere. They never will, because they're only going to go to those people or to the places that are going to allow them to make some money, and they're not going to go to every citizen, and they're not going to provide. They might provide it to you, and they don't provide it to me, or vice versa. And that's what we're seeing right now. So what we see, or what we've learned, is that we really need an infrastructure, a municipal infrastructure of fiber to allow open access, to allow competition, to provide internet to homes, and to provide lots of other things besides the internet. And then once that happens, if that infrastructure is like a highway that goes past all of our houses, once that happens, it allows competition, which improves the cost to you as a consumer, and it also improves the quality that you get. So that's kind of just like a normal highway, a normal road.
So last spring, we tried to get kind of a feeling for were the residents interested in fiber or not. And so we put out a survey, and we had 528 responses to the survey based on how many, and that was households. We only took one response per household. Based on that response, that's about 20% of the citizens, of the households responding. So some questions that came up that were interesting is the importance of internet access to you. And not surprising, 98% of people said it was very important. I kind of like to beat with the 2% who said it wasn't. I don't know. That's not me, right? So 98% said it was very important to them. And the primary reason for their current provider, it was speed, and it was the only option, were the two highest, their responses. So kind of interesting that the only option, I just wrote that down, was a third of the respondents were with the provider they're with, because that's the only answer they have. Go ahead. So how likely to switch providers if others were available? You can see extremely likely was 40%, somewhat likely was 40%. So 80% of the respondents said that they would likely switch providers if something else was available. How likely to switch to fiber if it was affordable? And under there, between the extremely likely and somewhat likely, we have 94% would likely to switch if it were affordable, if fiber were affordable. Currently, you can see what kind of internet connection people had, mostly cable modem. Interesting that fiber, only 4% responded that they had a fiber option. And then on the current monthly costs, 2/3 of the survey were $61 and above monthly. 2/3 of the residents responded to that amount.
Okay, so with all those questions, we decided we needed to form a committee. We talked with the mayor, and the mayor was on board with that committee. And this is the committee that we formed. Ann Arrington and I from the council. And then we had two helping from our city administrator, Amy Mabey, and Tyson Jackson, Public Works. They were there to offer information, not necessarily on the committee, but able to supply information and help us with information there. And then Gary Griffiths and Casey Whiteley are two citizens that we searched around and chose to be on the committee. They're very, very well informed in this industry. It's not their profession, but they know networks and business, and they've just been really, really helpful. And we're glad we'll introduce them later, and they will be able to answer some questions for you tonight as well. Okay, so once we got this committee, we decided we would meet with some of the companies that we knew about. We received an unsolicited proposal from Strata. That was the first step, and we met with Strata, and then with Utopia, and then with TXOX, who is currently providing some fiber in our city. When we met with TXOX, we had some general discussions with them. At the time, they were not interested in a citywide fiber approach, but we're aware of what we were doing here. We then, after we interviewed with Utopia and with Strata, we also decided to go out for a request for proposal, and we tried to get other companies to to be interested in doing providing fiber for our city as a municipal project. And we had two responses. That was Utopia. They responded with an RFP, and Strata also responded with an RFP. And we had them also come back and present that to us. We didn't have other interests. We had people interested, but they didn't actually formally supply an RFP to us. So some of the options that we had on the table that we needed to make some decisions on is should this be a city-owned infrastructure or a private/entity ownership? Should it be a utility or subscription? Which utility would be everybody would be supplied the service and they'd all have to pay for that, or should it be a subscription model? Those are decisions we had to make. The next one was roadway microtrenching, kind of an installation method. There's lots of complexity to how the infrastructure gets set up and also how it gets installed. And so microtrenching was an option, as well as going through into our park strips to install the fiber. And then we also needed to talk about internet service providers and how they could have open access to our network.
So we've learned a lot as we've gone. This is a very complex process. At first, Dave and I probably couldn't even spoken to any of this stuff. So if any of it's confusing, we'd love to clarify more. But basically, we're talking about fiber running the main trunk and then having private come and hook to your house with different. So you'd have some choices of who you still went with. It would just allow them to come in and do that, okay? So here's our committee conclusions and recommendations. We want to ensure that all residents have access to fiber utility. Right now, that's not the case in Pleasant View. So many people are without fiber. So we wanted to ensure that that happened. The committee is recommending that it would be city-owned and partnership deployed, that we'd have somebody else help us put it in, and that would maintain a quality of service for us. We want to ensure access to all and the ability to make future decisions. We want the city to be able to make the decisions regarding the infrastructure. We want to pursue and retain options for smart city technologies. If you don't know what that is, it just has to do with making decisions based on data. So let me give you for instance, if you have an area that's kind of being higher crime for the moment, then you could turn the city lights up higher, turn the street lights up higher for a longer period of time. Or let's say it's raining outside. So you could turn the city sprinklers off, things like that would make it just smarter. It's just a smarter, more efficient way to run a city, save money, and reduce costs. So those are some just examples of smart city initiatives. Of course, attract and retain commercial businesses. We're working very hard to do that. That's something that's very important to commercial business, is to have access to fiber. The utility model allows for an affordable base service. So in the utility model, we would have all residents would have access to this. And we're going to go a tiny bit deeper into this, and then we can break out and tell you even more. But so regardless of their location, regardless of their demographic, some people can't really afford it. We were talking earlier today that, some grandparents are paying $85. They wouldn't have to pay that. They could actually have if they're just email browsing, just sending emails, we could get them on a much more affordable service. So this would help us with some city services. We could have Wi-Fi in the parks. We could do some built-in maintenance, and early bond payoff is important to us. And we also are interested in getting grants and future growth. So we personally feel as a committee that we've kind of hit this fiber thing in what we call a sweet spot. We feel like other cities have done it before us, that we're not forging the way. We can learn kind of from what they did and do it the right way. We also feel like there's been options that we can choose from, that we weren't locked into just one certain company, or that we had options to choose from. So we feel like if we wait longer, that we'll just get only farther behind. But we also feel like it's really timely spot right now to be considering fiber. So anticipated costs, and if we pursue the utility model, we're looking at a $12 million utility bond for 30 years. Now that's quite a commitment. So that's why we have you here, is because this is a commitment. for all of us to do this. If we did the utility model, we would ask that every resident paid $10. And for that $10, you would get a basic service of 5 megabytes download and 1 upload. Like we said, that'd be email browsing and things like that. You could do, you know, a little bit of genealogy, that kind of thing. The basic service and an access fee have be paid by all residents. It would be easily upgradable. If you decided you wanted more, then you could easily upgrade it from there. There would not be major additional costs. And of course, those things we talked about, enhanced options for the city. Sometimes when we talk about fiber, you start thinking about you and your house and like, are we going to be happy? Are we going to like the service? Do we have enough speed? But we really do want to keep in mind those smart city initiatives, that it's for the whole of the whole city. As far as like hospitals coming in and needing that kind of thing, businesses needing that kind of thing. So police, utility, all those things. So if you wanted more than what the $10 per month offered you, then you could get, for all in, including that utility fee, $65 a month would get you 250 megabytes. And this is megabit. Thank you. And this is symmetrical. So that means you're also upload and download. A lot of you have maybe a really good download speed, but your upload speed's terrible. And a lot of times they just advertise by download speed, and your upload speed's not that great. Or for $75, you could get a full gig. So when we say affordable, that's kind of the range we're looking at. Okay. Okay, Amy, I'm ready. So committee recommendations. I just want you to know that the committee's met for over 7 months. We've also put more than 263 manpower hours into this. This wasn't a decision we made in a week's time frame or even in a month's time frame. We have been like combing through the information and the data. And like I said, it's been just so huge that we wanted to get to this point to at least present to you some options that we could whittle down into something digestible. We're recommending as a committee that we go into a private-public partnership with Strata Networks. We're recommending that we do a utility model. We're recommending infrastructure to every residence and business. And we're also recommending this for enhanced options for city services. So that's our recommendation. And that's why we've asked you to come here tonight. We're going to, break out into groups and hear your feedback and see if, like, are you on board for that? Should we go forward with this? Or, should we just abort the project altogether or what? So that's kind of why we're here tonight. And thank you for coming. We really need your input.
Sorry, I'd like to just make sure everybody understands what she just said about recommendation. So this is the committee's recommendation to the council, okay, and to you as the residents who we represent. So the decision of the council has not been made. They were tasked to come up with a recommendation to present to the full council. The council wanted to get your input in early, and so did the committee. It's like, let's hear from the residents what they think of your, the committee's recommendation that they've given to the council. The council members and myself as the mayor really want to know from the community about the needs, the wants, the desires, the costs, everything that's involved in this whole project, so that as we move forward from this point, the council can make some, how do we go forward on their recommendation? How do we act? And so that's why open house now. And so when she says our recommendation, she means the committee's recommendation, which what they were tasked to do, to present to the council, which they have done just this week. And so you're getting it basically why they're getting it. So.
Yeah, that's what the committee determined, that the format for tonight. So we started off back in November, December timeframe. We formed the committee. We've talked about that all tonight. We met with the several companies, and then we had the RFP. We're to this point right now, the straight up and down line there in October. This is where we are right now at the open house. Our next steps are to resolve questions, answer questions, see where concerns are, and then go forward to have a city council recommendation or a vote. After that happens, if it's approved, then we would likely start early 2022. and the project would be 2 to 3 years to be fully implemented throughout the city. Of course, some of you would be on earlier. If a different zone, you could get the fiber service at a little bit earlier time than 3 years.
Yeah, okay, so we want to do some breakout stations. We also want to do a few introductions before we do that. So, of course, everybody knows the mayor, Leonard Call. Okay, this is our city administrator, Amy Mabey, and Laurie Hellstrom's our recorder. We have Sarah Uri on the city council, and Steve, where'd Steve go? Oh, sorry, I can't see you. And Steve's over here. Let's see, Tyson, where'd Tyson go? He's our public works director. And then we've got Casey and Gary, who served on the committee. We want to introduce Strata in the back. We have also a representative here from Utopia. Thank you. We want to welcome North Ogden. Phil, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you there.
TXOX might be here too. I didn't. Doug here?
No.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry.
Sounds good. Thank you. And then we also want to introduce Phil, who's running for council here in the next few weeks. So anyone I missed?
Derek Draper's running for that.
And where's Derek? There you are, right there. And Derek Draper. Thank you so much. Okay, great.
Yeah, we have Dan from our planning commission.
Super. Oh, thank you. Okay, thanks. I'm glad I have help with this. All right, super. So we'll break out. Make sure you fill out the Q&A here. Put your sticker on the board on where you want to go, and then just we'll go from there.
I'll go right here this way. There is a proposal actually stating that they're interested. There's an untitled registration. Throughout this process, however we know, what we've got is a little out your home.
So, okay, on the format.
Go down super informal in front of the station. We'll kind of divide up the station, the council, and just kind of go for what is most important to want to talk about. So.
Or go to all of them.
Yeah, to all of them. So
And
there's
rotate it all.
a lot of people that know a lot of this information. If you have questions or concerns about it, this is a good opportunity for you to ask. So, please have.
So, this is a question for all you guys. I don't want to, sometimes someone has a question that I don't, and that I don't think of or something. I benefit from other people's questions. We would like to have a general Q&A.
So that's why we're doing this resident input, comment cards, and breakout sessions. All Q&A will be distributed through email to everybody throughout the city, not just this group. More than this group, there's 11,000 people that belong to this community. Are going to have questions, would have loved to have been here, maybe have work commitments, whatever, but they got questions. They want to know what questions were asked. So your questions are very important in our answers, and we want to push all those questions, all those answers out to everybody, to have everybody a chance. So that's,
One time for everybody.
Yeah, so this slide presentation is going to start rolling, so you can see that. And a lot of the slides are here also on posters, so you can see those. If you have questions from any of the providers that are here, from Strata, from Utopia, from any of those on the committee, feel free to come and talk to us about it. And then Phil, please write your questions down as well, so that we can publish those question and answer to everyone.
Is this going to be put to a vote by the residents, or is the people
The decision will be made by the council.
But let me kind of add on to that though. When he says the decision will be made by the council, it's could include taking it to a vote. That's a time frame. It would be like next November before that vote could be held. So the council, this is a recommendation to the council, okay? And the council has not met or decided anything on it yet. We're getting it this week, the same as everybody here and everybody in the thing. So no decision has been made on that part there, that question. So just that point of clarification. That might be what we decide, the council decides. No. No, the ballots have already gone out. Yeah.